Okay, so it's a whole new day because I got so worked up from my fucking rant yesterday that I was like, let's do something else before the anger gets transferred onto the clothing that you're trying to make out of love. So, got our hat that's already pinned and everything. And I'm just gonna sew it. I'm gonna do it. I probably should have sewed each this piece individually before pinning it all together. But YOLO, which is something I don't think anybody says anymore. My alarm just went off. Um but yeah, so and I'm doing 1/8 an inch. I don't know if I said that. I left my tomato over there. Be right back. Okay, I'm back. I left my tomato. And I need a place to put the pens. And it would help if I turned the sewing machine on. But yeah, I'm doing better today, for sure. Let me put the tomato over here. I just got so worked up yesterday. Don't you turn on me. I'm using blue thread. Most people, when they sew jeans, use like a yellow thread. But the lining has blue in it, and I just thought it would look prettier with blue. It'll still contrast with the denim. But I wanted it to be different. I wanted to use blue. Also, I just learned about what's going on in Kansas today, and it happened on the 26th, but and it's the 3rd of March right now, and I'm just now hearing about it. But trans people lost their identity cards, like they just got shut down overnight with no grace period whatsoever. So anyone who had their gender marker changed from what it was at birth no longer has a license, and that's messed up. And I'm not just saying this as a trans person. Like, this is scary. This is just because they can do it to trans people does not mean they will not do it to you. That's how fascism works, is they eventually come for everyone that does not submit or present as a certain ideal. So anyone currently who is not cis, het, male, and Christian is gonna get fucked one way or the other. And like, you may not agree with trans people, and you may not understand, why it's so important. And let's just divorce the fact that they're trans for right now, and let's talk about why this is bad just on a human level. Erasing gender, erasing race, all that stuff on a human level, this is bad because a bunch of people just lost access to healthcare, lost access to being able to get food, being able to work, being able to travel, because you need your ID for all of those things. And it's not that these things won't happen to you, it's that they haven't happened to you yet. Yet is the big key word here. It hasn't happened to you yet, but it will. And like, I don't understand hating on other people for the way they were born, because you don't choose how you get born. if you could, I'm sure the world would be a very, very different place. But you get what you get. And I am this hat up by not getting it 100% on the line, but it's not going to be noticeable in the end. But it's very frustrating, and it's not just as a trans person, it's as a person who experiences empathy for other people. Well, I don't know if it's so much as an empathy that I experience as much as it is a sympathy. Because I understand how trans people feel right now because I am trans. But when it comes to other people, like, I don't understand where they're coming from necessarily because I can't experience, that sensation, but I can experience sympathy. And I'm a very sympathetic person, which a lot of people don't know that sympathy and empathy are two different things. Empathy means I understand this feeling and I can relate to this feeling and I can sympathize with this feeling. But sympathy more so means, I can see that this is not a good situation and I can understand that this is sad and I am sorry that it is the way it is. I hope that's making sense. Now, I can't precisely remember the definition of sympathy, but I do know that they are different things. And a lot of people don't experience empathy, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong because a lot of autistic people don't experience empathy, or they do, but in different ways than neurotypical people. And like I said, it's about understanding, not feeling, necessarily bad for someone, which empathetic people do feel bad for people, but I don't know if I'm making any coherent sense right now. But anyway, Kansas made all trans people's identities invalid overnight. There's no grace period. There's no time to go get a new one. There was no warning about this. And a lot of people are under the impression that being trans is a mental illness. And the thing is, it's been extensively studied. And it's been extensively studied for a very long time. As far as HRT goes, it's been over 100 years so far that we've been using HRT, because it started in the 1920s. So it's over 100 years now. Not by much, but still over 100 years now. And that's when it's actively been studied, but it's been happening throughout all of history. Like, you can look at ancient Rome and Greece, and they would synthesize hormones for not FTM, but for male to female. Yeah, I couldn't think of the word. Yeah. But it's been going on, and this has been going on since the dawn of time. And the reason why it goes on is because gender and biological sex are two completely different things. You can have, and even biological sex, I learned in biology, is not straightforward as I thought it was. Like, it's not definitive male, definitive female, because there are people who are intersex that exist who may have physical features of male, but internally they have features that are female. Like, you get cis men that grow breast, and that's due to being intersex, is they have that gene that says, I'm supposed to grow tits. Or like that one boxer from, I can't think of what, United Arab, I can't remember the name of the country. I know it's like United Arab something. And she is intersex, not trans, but they actually made that woman go through a court case and listed her as a gender treat. Gender cheat uh, through the Olympics because she is intersex. She was born with a micro penis, which, if you're not familiar with what a micro penis is, she has a vaginal canal, but she also has a micro penis, which, if you've ever seen a woman with a very large clit, that is a micro penis. Chances are they are intersex. And just different things like that. Like, oh, what is her name? I can't think. Jamie Lee Curtis. Yes, she is intersex. Like, she has the female presenting characteristics, but internally, she has male characteristics. So its biology isn't straightforward as male female. You get labeled male or female based on the outward appearance of genitalia at the time of birth. And the thing about this is it does not determine, anything other than the physical appearance of your genitalia. Your entire personality is not developed because you were assigned this at birth or you were assigned that at birth. Because gender is a social construct. And there are examples of this throughout history of various people who do not fit into these categories. And like a lot of tribes, indigenous to America and across the world before the spread of Christianity, that had multiple genders or had people that were born one gender and identified as another, like the indigenous people of America call it two-spirit. And I'm trying to think of Burmese. I have a friend that's parents were refugees from Myanmar. I don't know how it's pronounced. It's near China. And I found out that culturally Burmese used to or still do recognize multiple genders culturally, or at least they used to. I learned that through him. And just throughout the world. And I think what a big part of the issue is, and also trans people make up less than 1% of the population. They're being thrown under the bus right now because they're incredibly convenient to throw under the bus because they don't conform to societal norms. And anytime anyone does not conform to societal norms, they're seen as a threat, which I was talking about yesterday in my rant about capitalism, because so much identity is wrapped in to this because it's a means of control. And you really have to think about it. Like, people can be have all kinds of different personalities, be all kinds of different ways. It's the patriarchy that tells us men are like this, women are like this. There are this roles for men, there are this roles for women. And the thing about the patriarchy is it is a system that is enforced by both men and women. It's not just men enforcing it. It is a combined effort, which is why it is the job of each of us individually to be wary and always question systems of power and power dynamics. Like a good example of this is cis men have a lot of hyper masculine products targeted to them. You see this in like dude wipes that are targeted to men because apparently wiping your ass is gay or something. I don't know what it is. The only difference between dude wipes and regular wipes is that they're a little bit bigger, and they're not even much bigger. I think they're like an inch bigger all around. And they're so expensive. It's like, why Why do you need this? And the thing, it's funny because this is actually something that's considered gender affirming. And I think a lot of cis people don't realize that they do things that are gender affirming, such as, men and women's soap. You take a look at men's soap and they're fucking called like Freedom Eagle Gun or Nuclear Attack. Something really weird like that. This hyper masculine. And then women's soap targeted towards women is just like what it is, like coconut manuka or manuka honey. I love manuka honey body wash, just by the way. It smells so good. Or, cherry blossom. They're just, regular names. Um, it's also it's very detrimental. It's not just detrimental to women, it's detrimental to men too, because it tells men, they have to be this hyper masculine version of themselves at all times. And that's why the male suicide rate is so high, because of toxic masculinity that says men must turn all emotions into anger. And they can't experience things like crying or being sad because that's unmanly. And that's it really alarming. And it's all a construct. It's something that's imaginary. Somebody said one day, hey, this is this way and this is that way. And people just went along with it. They're like, okay, guess we're doing this now. Like, I think it's important to question all of your beliefs. Like, I'm not married to my beliefs and ideals. I am humble enough to accept that I could potentially be wrong about some things. And I am always open to criticism about what I think, and I will openly have a discussion about these things that I believe. Like, there are some things I know I'm not, wrong at, but I'm still willing to hear out the other side because, like I said, well, I guess I don't know because I don't know how to phrase that. Like, I'm pretty sure I'm right about a lot of shit, but I'm open enough to, go with the possibility that I'm could be wrong, And I think that's how everyone should be, in my opinion, is everyone should be open to questioning their own ideals, because I feel that is the best way to progress in society, is to be open to your ideals and the potential that they could be wrong, because certain things, it's like monkey see, monkey do. Certain things are just taught, throughout the generations. Like, we didn't get here overnight. We didn't get here with the gender roles we have now overnight. They happened over time, and it was over a lot of time, and a lot of it has to do with the spread of Christianity. A good example of, there were multiple matriarchal societies throughout, ancient times, and even times that aren't as ancient as we think of as ancient times. Like, for example, the Vikings. I was wrong. Vikings did not live in a matriarchal society. They were actually quite equal with men. So I did misspoke. So that's why I'm on here now to correct it. I have linked below the history of Vikings. Everything else I say, though, is correct. Women controlled the money. The women pretty much took charge of the entire household. If I will, like, I try to keep a source to prove I'm not just talking out of my ass, so I will do some more research and I will link what I'm talking about down below. And if I say anything incorrect, I will pop up a thing on the screen that says, actually, it's this. But yeah, no, Vikings lived in a matriarchal society. And also, Viking is not a race. It was a job, like pirate. There are, countless examples of old Viking, historians have found like old Viking clothes that have like Chinese characters sewn into them, or they have Muslim prayers sewn into them. It wasn't a religion, it was not a race, it was a job, like pirate. And I will also link this information. And it's one thing I really hate is that Norse mythology has been appropriated by Nazis. Like, I hate it. Because I actually almost picked the name Fenrir for my name instead of Tiberius because it was the name of the wolf that ate the moon at the end of the world, and one of Loki's kids also. And I've been fascinated by Norse mythology for a long time, and all mythologies actually really fascinate me, and even the concept of modern religions fascinate me despite being an atheist. And that's another thing that I am open to, is that I could be wrong. Like, there could be a god. Um, you know, there's no proof that there is, and there's no proof that there isn't. But I'm willing to take the wager. I forget what the exact name of the wager is. I will also look that up. But it was a theologist that said there could be nothing or there could be something. Not theologist. Philosopher. There we go. Which religion is inherently just philosophy pushed to an extreme. And I want to be very clear, I don't think anyone is dumb for believing in God at all. There's a lot of misconception that atheists think that, people who believe in God are stupid. I don't think they're stupid. I understand the mental need to believe that there is some sense to the world. Like, I get that. Like, I get the desire to have this system in which bad people are punished and good people are rewarded. Like, I understand the need to have that concept. I just personally don't believe it. And I don't inherently think it's a hindrance. I think it can be a hindrance. Like, I think it can be a very... Oh, no. No. 1 second, because I just... this up. Curves are hard. Curves are so hard. Ah, damn it. Okay, I gotta rip some because I accidentally sewed that there. Where's my seam ripper? If it's not my seam ripper that's missing, it's my scissors. For once, I know where all my scissors are. I actually have all my scissors where they're supposed to go, which is a miracle. Maybe there is a God. But I have no idea where my seam ripper has gone off to. Ah, there it is. And I'm messing this up again. Boy, howdy. It keeps wanting to come out from where it is. But I don't know if I've said this before, but if anybody ever makes something an us versus them you need to look at why, and you need to look at the source. Why is it us versus them? Um, like, how both trans people and immigrants have been used as a scapegoat, which definitely Google political scapegoat, and also I will recommend some books on spotting propaganda, but definitely look into those because everybody's susceptible to propaganda, including me, including you. Nobody's immune. It's just one of those big things that exist that everybody is capable of experiencing at one point or another. It's a matter of you have to look critically and think critically to understand and recognize what is propaganda and what is not. And it's difficult. I've been I can't think of what the app is. There's apparently this news app where you can uh view every news article about something from either the left, like the far left, the center left, moderates, uh, from the right, from the far right. You can look at all the articles and read through every single article and see how someone's portraying each issue. And you can also listen to more neutral news. I need to, maybe it's Newsbreak, maybe that's the name of the app. Probably not. I will flash that on the screen though, because I'm going to look at what it is because some of my creators, uh, my creators that I watch, um, talk about it all the time, and they use it to, you know, do videos and stuff. And I think having a tool like that is very important because it shows you firsthand, how propaganda can work. And the thing about, like, our education system, and something recently, I don't know if I talked about this yet, but a political science, someone with their political science degree, uh, verbalized what I had been trying to verbalize, and that's that history and the way we view the world is always through the lens of the elite. So what you're being shown isn't always, I don't know the word, but it's not always accurate. And it's really important to investigate something from multiple sides, even if it's a side you don't like, because you need to understand why you don't like something or why something is wrong. And it's important to be 100% knowledgeable on everything because you won't be able to debate. Not that some things should be debated, like human rights should absolutely not be a debatable issue. It is, but it should not be. Um, and yeah, so it's important to examine everything critically. Even if it's something you like, you need to examine it critically. It's important in just the realm of being human and understanding things. Like, we've lost a lot of media literacy, um, due to just, I think it's just poor education. I think symbolism is lost on some people. I also think, reading between the lines is lost to some people. Uh, because people will throw around terms like DEI and not actually understand what it means. They use it because they can't say the N word. And there's this strange notion that affirmative action just is hiring someone black because they're black, or hiring someone because they're a woman just because they're a woman, which is not what affirmative action is at all. It is making sure people who are disadvantaged have the same opportunity as everyone else. You still have to have the exact same, well, actually, not the exact same. You have to have better qualifications than anyone else to be hired. And it's because Charlie Kirk said, did a lot of manipulative language in his podcast, where he used this example of he didn't like DEI because, you know, a black pilot that crashes the plane half the time shouldn't be allowed to fly. And it's like, that's not a thing that exists. Affirmative action exists because people are racist and people are sexist, and they will not hire even qualified candidates because of their race. And this is a safety net in place to prevent that. And it's still very much needed in this day and age because people are still very much racist and very much sexist. And you see this a lot in the corporate world. And, you know, women get paid less. I think it's increased a little bit. I think it's like now 75 cents on the man's dollar. I almost said cents. A little country. Sometimes I am from Tennessee. Will make less than men on average. And this is on average. This doesn't mean every single example of a woman getting paid is less than a man. It's just average. And there are women CEOs that make more than male CEOs, but they are few and far between. And you know, diversity, equity, and inclusion is a good thing, because also it helps with people with disabilities, because people with disabilities are often not hired because they have a disability that they need accommodations for. Like, I need accommodations for my disability in order to properly and successfully work. Like, and these DI guarantees proper accommodations. Say, I'm trying to think of a good example. Okay, so a good example is building a ramp instead of a staircase. Because a ramp, everyone can get through a ramp. Everyone can walk up a, well, unless you're not in a wheelchair or using a cane, you can, but it's easier for everyone to get up a ramp than it is for someone in a wheelchair or someone with low mobility to get upstairs. And DEI is something that provides access for everyone, not just particular people. And there's a lot of propaganda out there about what DEI is, and it's being painted as it's just this thing that makes other people's lives easier, when it's just creating an equal playing field. And a lot of things I think people don't realize about racism is that we are still in feeling the effects of slavery to this day, because it was that detrimental. It's a lot of the reasons why New Orleans is, you know, everyone in New Orleans, well, not everyone, but most people in New Orleans are really poor, and why it has such a heavy black population is because it was once the slave capital of the United States, if not the world. I don't remember if it was the world. I do know the United States mostly practiced child, and anyway, not important. But it was seen as it was the slave capital of the world, and once everyone was freed, propaganda began to arise, is we get the stereotype, suddenly black people are lazy, suddenly, like the myth of the black rapist. Angela Davis talks about this. It doesn't mean people of color don't rape other people. That's not what it means. It means that it's something that was used to justify lynchings back in the day, is this fear that was pandered to, that black men are going to rape, white women, or, they're coming for the white people, uh, because, um, oh God, I don't know how to phrase it. Because it was needed as another example of something that was needed as a means of control. Because these were not stereotypes until slavery ended. Um, okay, this is uneven somehow. I don't know how that happened. Oh, wait, yes, I do. Do I really want to go back and redo that? Yeah, I messed up on this side, which is the one I kept messing up on. So I'm going to do it from the other side now. And it's like the same spot. So I'm going to do it from the other side now, see if that fixes it. But if someone is telling you that you need to hate somebody else, you need to examine why that is. It's like there's this, I don't know how true it is, but I saw it in a Facebook post a long time ago. And everything said on Facebook is true. But anyway, that's sarcasm. Anyway, someone posted that if you put fire ants and regular ants, red and black ants in the same jar, they will exist just fine together. But if you shake the jar, they'll attack one each other. And I think that's a good metaphor for, you need to see who is shaking the jar, why are they shaking the jar, and is shaking the jar justified? In my opinion, it's never justified to shake the jar. And just like I've been continuously preaching, it's not a left and right issue, it's a top and bottom issue. It's like, this isn't saying that there are not issues between parties and there are not, issues with race. It's just, you need to examine why these things are. Like, I feel like just saying, this is just the way things are, I feel like that's just a dangerous way of thinking. Because you should always ask, why are things the way they are? And I think it's just really important to always question why things are the way they are. And I do understand that there are, people on the right that are on the right because of malice. But I can also understand that there are people on the right because, I don't know how to phrase it, they lack apathy, or not lack apathy, they're apathetic to experiences by others. I think I'm using that word correctly. Um, Not everyone is, doing it out of malice. Some people are really that ill informed. And a big problem, and this is both a left and a right issue, is that politics were never meant to be a team sport. They're not meant to be, oh, my party won, everything's golden. That's not how that works. And, you know, there are countless examples of why, you know, it's not a team sport, because we've been in an increasing, I cannot properly think of the term that I want right now. Also, this might end up being 3 separate videos because, like, this is already 41 minutes long. Um, I can't think of what I was gonna say. But yeah, question everything. Even if it makes sense, question it. Like, just because something's the way we've always done something doesn't mean that way is right. Because we used to do human sacrifices. And that happened for a long time, and people did it because it's what they always did. So, also, humans throughout history, if you have examined history at all, don't change. And it's not that history repeats itself, because it never happens the exact same way, but it rhymes a hell of a lot. And there are definitely rhyming qualities of things that are happening in the world today that are really indicative of World War II and Nazi Germany. Although I think Trump is more like Mussolini than Hitler, but that's semantics, really, because they were both pretty fucking terrible. What I'm really concerned about was Pat Bondi's recent quote of, if we, you know, I can't quote it exactly, but basically, like, if we were to prosecute everyone in the Epstein files, the system would collapse. I think that's a great argument for why the system needs to collapse if, you know, everyone in charge is a pedophile. And, like, there's this weird argument on the right, like, the Clintons were in there too. Like, I don't care. Lock them up too. Everyone who was in there needs to face justice. And it's so wild to me that we're passing laws in fear that, you know, trans women are actually predatory men who are going into the women's restroom to attack women. But then when there's evidence of predatory men actually attacking women, we don't do about it. And that goes back to what propaganda is. Yes, full circle now. Propaganda always takes a real issue and then places the blame somewhere else. So predatory men is a real issue, but it's being placed in the wrong place. And that's why propaganda is able to work so well, is because they take something that people are rightfully outraged about, but then frame it as, you know, this particular thing, like that all immigrants are criminals. It's not possible for an entire demographic of people to be criminals. It's just not. And then you get the argument of, if they come here legally, and I think that comes from a place of ignorance. One, I don't care if they're here legally, but I think that comes from a place of ignorance, of not knowing how someone goes about getting citizenship in the United States. To get citizenship in the United States, you have to work in the United States. To get a work visa in the United States, you have to already be working. So in order to get something legally, you have to break the law to get it. Do you understand how ridiculous that is? And it's to discourage immigration, which is ridiculous, because we're supposed to be this haven for other people searching for freedom. We don't have freedom, but we're supposed to be this haven for people, you know, seeking freedom. And it's been twisted into just something that it's not. And it will continue to be twisted into something it's not, as long as we allow it to be twisted into something it's not. Things don't exist on their own, they take the reinforcement of people. Okay, yeah, this is taking shape. It's looking pretty good. Ooh, it might be too small. I hope it's not too small because this is awfully thick fabric. I mean, it's not bad. It's my first try, so I'm probably gonna make a couple of these, and I'll put them in my eBay shop for sale, which I will link my eBay shop down below. But Daddy needs a new pair of shoes. Not literally, I actually just bought shoes. But I need money for food and other, because I like being alive despite how horrible it is. Yeah, I'm gonna trim this right here just a little. So it's even with the other side. Okay. So we got that. I'm gonna have to press it. I hate pressing things. Like, I hate it with a passion, because I burn myself on my. Where's the burn? I know I have some. Yeah, right there. I burn myself on my iron all the time, and it looks like I tried to kill myself. Like, cutting open, because what will happen is I'll accidentally bump into the iron, or I'll almost knock it over with one hand, and I'll try to catch it like with my arm, because that's how I'm used to catching things that are falling, because I'm an idiot. Um but yeah. I also, this is not super popular of an opinion, but I don't believe that anyone should be getting fired over their political opinion or their behaviors outside of work. And that's a really unpopular opinion, because oh, it's natural to want bad behavior to be punished, and it's not that I don't want bad behavior to be punished. It's that my belief that everyone deserves food, water, and shelter outweighs my desire for bad people to be punished, if that makes any sense. And I don't think anyone is paid enough to get fired for what they do outside of work. Speaking of work, I used to work at Sam's Club. Don't recommend it. Don't recommend it at all. Um, and I can't prove it because it'd be illegal, but I got fired because I kept talking about trying to get my coworkers to unionize so we could actually get paid something decent, instead of, having to work 3 jobs. We can just work one job and get everything we need from that one job. But, that's just too radical of an idea. Also sarcasm. But yeah, I would openly talk about it, and Walmart says you're not allowed to talk about it, which that's illegal, by the way. But in the training video, it's so funny. They have like this guy in a trench coat that's like, "Hey guys, want to buy some unions?" The way that they portray the guys selling fake watches, with the trench coat and the watches. That's how they portray it in the thing, and they give really stupid arguments as to why that won't work. Like, I'm trying to think of one of the Oh, that it protects lazy workers, I think, is the dumbest argument for not being for unions, because what's deemed as lazy under the current system in which we are under is not working yourself to death. So, in the sense that you wouldn't have to work yourself to death anymore, yeah, I guess it protects lazy workers. Uh, but that's one of the more ridiculous arguments that I've heard against unionizing. And unions are a good thing because it's more powerful to stand together than it is to stand apart. And another argument that I've heard is that it makes it that you can't talk to your boss about problems. Like, you already can't talk to your boss about problems when you're working for a big corporation like that, because there's nothing they can do. And they're instructed to, discourage people from talking about unions. And they're told what to say to discourage them. Another argument I've seen argued is that with the money you pay for union dues, you could, buy a PlayStation. And it's like, bro, if you're a part of a union, you can demand enough money to buy your own PlayStation along with, paying the dues. It's not a you getting less situation, it's a you getting more situation. A lot of fear that's being pandered to us is that, white people are no longer going to be in the majority. It's projected that we'll no longer be in the majority. It hasn't happened yet. Like, anything could happen to obscure that. And that has a lot of people afraid. And what's so funny about it to me is that these are the same people that don't recognize racism, but in it thinking in this way, they can recognize that the system is in fact messed up, because they can't fathom a world of, you know, equality. They can only imagine a world where the roles are reversed. It's the same people who are anti-feminists and think it's going to lead to a matriarchal society. They can tell that something's not right with the current state of affairs, but they're unable to see a world in which they can reach equality. They can only see the world flipped upside down. And I think that's a big part of the problem why a lot of people start viewing equality as some sort of pie, that if more people over here get, equality, that means I'm going to have less equality, which is a ridiculous notion. I have to watch this. I hate listening to my own voice. I'm not going to lie. When I edit it, I kind of edit it just flipping through, and I keep track mentally of when I swear so I can bleep it out. But I hate listening to my own voice so much. I think that's a universal experience. I think most people hate listening to their own voice. My problem is it doesn't sound like how it sounds in my head. Like, my voice just doesn't, my thought voice does not sound the same as my spoken voice when I hear it back. But a lot of people have said they really like my voice. So I guess that's good. I just don't care. But I'm gonna have to go through and like pause every 5 minutes. I already know it, to go look up a source. Oh, actually, I could just write it down as I'm saying it. Look up source for blah 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 at minute blah 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 blah. Smart. I'm smart sometimes. I didn't think about that. See, I'm an auditory thinker, so when I say things out loud, I'm able to think better than writing them or reading them. Which I didn't realize I was an auditory learner until I started doing online classes. And I kept getting so confused on assignments. But when I had either I read them out loud to myself, uh, or had someone read them to me, I could understand them. And I always thought I was a visual learner, which I guess I am a visual learner too. Um, but I definitely need to hear things out loud to understand them fully. I like to keep my heart pens separate from my round pens because the heart pens aren't as good quality and they kind of stick up more, and it's easier to grasp onto the round pens when they're by themselves. They're also sharper and stronger. I bought these heart ones off Temu and they're not very good quality, which I regret buying. I mean, they were $2. I don't really regret buying them because they do work for what I need them to, and my round pens are not long enough for what I, need them to do. Ooh, that's not good. Okay, I'm gonna go press the seams and I'm gonna do it off camera. We are back and I have pressed my seams and now I'm going to sew them down. I think I'm gonna turn it inside out. I think that might be easier. Now, I've never worked with denim before, but I did watch 2 minutes of an 8-minute video, and this is not how they instructed us how to do it. But I think what I'm about to do is going to be good enough for a hat, since they're not going to be, jeans. If that tells you anything about who I am as a person. I'm not going right against the edge. I'm going maybe a centimeter away from the edge while I stitch this. Also, I don't really know why I'm explaining it because this... I just turned my sewing machine off. Because this is not a tutorial. This is just a thing that exists that's happening. Something tells me this is going to be really shitty. I can't think of that name of the bands, but it's that song that says, I am my own worst enemy. I am absolutely my own worst enemy. I think I might stitch that into what I've already stitched as well, just so it looks even. I think it's by Lit or Lent, something like that is the name of the band. I don't know, they were big in the 90s. Well, I only know the one song by them, but they were popular in the 90s. Which personally, I like being able to say I was born in the 1900s at the turn of the century. It makes me feel important. I also enjoy saying that this is the 20s. So when do you guys think the stock market's going to crash? Because I think it's absolutely on its way. It's really funny. When I was in high school, I did a documentary about the Great Depression and the possibility of a second depression, which I would link. It's still on YouTube. I would link the video down below, but it has my dead name attached to it, and I'd rather not. Maybe I should have cut some notches into this. What did I just do? Because I feel like it would be easier to work with right now if I had to cut some notches into this curve. You're supposed to cut notches when you cut a pattern. I never do because I don't know what I do wrong, but the notches never match. Definitely should have cut some notches into this. Still fixing those strings from earlier. Looks pretty good. I need to get the loose string off. I have to be careful about string because my dumbass cat likes to eat them. Technically, he's my roommate's dumbass cat, but my cat started copying him. Ready to attach the lining. Gonna flip that. Wait, no, I want it like that. Yeah. Gonna put this on the, and I'm not gonna bother top stitching the thing. And I'm pinning this wrong. Also, I still don't know what I'm doing because I refuse to read the directions. But I did vaguely glance at them, and that makes me confident enough to feel like I'm doing it right. I may vaguely glance at them again. Okay, so everything's not matching up 100% here. Oopsies. I made something smaller and something bigger. I guess I made the lining too big. It's okay, I'm just gonna make it a little bunched up in the front. It's not gonna be noticeable because it's the lining. But I'll move this excess because these seams right here are all like perfectly lined up with the other seams. Okay. Apparently I just didn't have something pinned in the right place further down. My lips are so chapped. They're always so chapped. I keep chapstick in my craft box that is stuck to the lid because my lips are always so chapped. Also, this is Remedy chapstick is the only chapstick I ever found that actually works for me. Like, I've tried everything. I've tried chapstick brand chapstick. I've tried Carmex. Is it Carmex or Carmike's? Burt's Beeswax. I've tried like just straight up Vaseline, and like nothing works. I do remember it saying something about a stay ribbon. I don't know what a stay ribbon is, but I imagine I have it somewhere within my things of bias tape because it sounds like it's a bias tape. And then I think I also need to put in a hat band, whatever that is, because I think I can just make it with bias tape. I'm pretty sure I can just make it with bias tape. I don't make tutorials because I'm not competent. And like I use a lip exfoliating scrub. I have to use it every morning, every time I get out of the shower. Otherwise, I have dead skin all over my lips all day. I will also like once a week do a collagen lip mask. And it's since starting this routine of the lip scrub, the chapstick, and then the collagen mask, I've noticed a great improvement on my lips. Not, you know, being so raggedy. I'm getting bored. This is gonna be like underneath where you can't really see it. I'm gonna be making more of these and putting them in my shop if I haven't said already. It probably won't be the exact same as what I'm making now, because this is the tester, and obviously I'm not gonna put the tester for sale because it wouldn't be good enough quality. Okay, I think now we are ready to attach the brim, which I actually am looking at it now and I realized I haven't finished sewing it. Oh, okay. Now that it's sewn more, it. I don't think it's supposed to look like that. I think it's supposed to more sit on your head like that or something. I think I'm getting it. Also, I think the book suggested using something like Beckham. I think that's what it said, or Burham, or something with a B. I didn't have that, so I'm using this very stiff interfacing that I have that's meant for purses. It's so hard to line up things with a curved edge. I put my hearts with the circles. Oh no. Get where you belong. I'm thinking what to talk about, but I'm actually feeling so burnt out right now that I can't think of anything. So my apologies if the rest of this video just ends up being silent fast forwarding through what you call it. I'll keep the noise in so at least there's some noise, but I can't word right now. Yeah, I'm gonna have to cut some notches in this to get it to lay flat. I'm starting to understand why a notch would be important. I don't know where to line the bill up at. I'm gonna get notchy. That doesn't sound quite as like the word naughty as I thought it would be. It just sounds like a food. But you're gonna eat a lot of nachos. I think I was supposed to put in the stay ribbon before I clipped this together. Yeah, that's not. I'm gonna take that out for now. I'm gonna come back to it because that's crooked and I don't want it to be crooked, but also I want to put the ribbon in. I still am refusing to look at the directions. And it does not appear that I have a bigger bias tape than what I already pulled out. Ah, me, God, mother. Okay, so this is the original hat that I made here. It looks pretty good. But I made another hat that also looks pretty good that I will be posting on my eBay shop. It looks a bit different, but I like the way this one came out more. And I made another hat that also is more like the other hat. I like the way it came out too. It has bees on it and it needs to be ironed. Don't worry, I will iron it. But yeah, you can find both of these hats in my eBay shop, which I will link down below. Hashtag fuck Etsy. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please let me know in the comments. If you hated it, also let me know in the comments. I won't care, but you can let me know. Boost my ratings. Not really. But yeah. So these will be available. Please like, subscribe, and share. And most importantly, stay chaotic.